Welcome back to Biz Politics, and today we're covering some of the more thorough by-election voting intention, or polling in more specific terms. I'm looking at a brand new poll here, and look, I think that it's safe to say One Nation has a very good chance of coming away in this as the winner. Look, I'm going to read it out. Smallest party to biggest party in this vote. Others, or independents, are 1.4%. The Greens at 3.8%. The Nationals, brand new, at 4.8%. The Australian Labor Party, incumbent government, at 5%. The Liberal Party, the current sitting member, Susan Lee for Farrah, 14.3%, dropping back. The Liberal candidate, I think it's Raisa Bukowski, she's campaigning a lot, and I've been seeing a lot on social media. But of course, you got the Climate 200-backed Michelle Milthorpe, independent, sitting at 21.8%. And in a massive lead, jumping up 33.7%. You have One Nation on 40.3%, and I think it's safe to say if that does happen, it's most likely that they're going to win that by-election. And I think that this is one of the more interesting by-elections because we have an incumbent government which has a smashing majority, 94 seats. We have a dying coalition on 41 current seats after Barnaby Joyce defected to One Nation and after Susan Lee did resign, and therefore we do have this by-election. And this is going to be a really good test to see if the South Australian election, we saw One Nation had a rise there, but this will be a really good test to see if federally One Nation can attract votes on a more federal level in a bigger electorate. And if they can get 2 lower house seats, that'll be the most representation they've ever had in a parliament, with 4 upper house seats, 2 lower house seats, and even in Australia in general, they've got their upper house seat in Victoria in the Legislative Council. In South Australia, they've got smashing numbers. They've got, I think, 7 members of parliament all up. They've got 4 lower house, 3 upper house, and in Western Australia, they've got 2 upper house. And they're doing really well so far. And I also think that there's a by-election coming. I just want to say rest in peace to the sitting member. I don't know what the electorate is called. I'll find out more about that. But I did see something in the news the other day. There was a Queensland member of parliament who did unfortunately pass away. And all my respects and best wishes go to his family and friends. I'm guessing that there will be a by-election coming out soon for that. And that'll be a good test for One Nation as well. Although I think the seat is a more left-wing seat, as it has been held by Labor for quite a while. And of course, you have the Nepean by-election coming up. And look, there's a lot of by-elections coming up. And of course, in November, we have the Victorian state election. And I can't wait to cover that one because, look, in the polls, it's another crazy one with One Nation being first in some of the polls, which I think is crazy to note. Look, there's not much else happening, but there's some mass resignations happening in the Victorian government. 3 ministers have quit so far. Look, it's just general going and moving on, and different people, switching roles. And look, I don't think there's much to say about that. Look, I think it's just new candidates, simple changing of the guard in their own time. The Liberals aren't apparently that clever, and I think that does help them, help the current government. Look, I have read that on a few articles, and I don't know what to say about that. Look, I think Jess Wilson has a good chance of becoming the next Premier. But, we'll see what happens over the next few weeks and months in polling. It's always a great time to cover it.